welcome to accounting. And I'd like to introduce, I'll give a small little chat first, but to welcome Marcela, who's our program manager for accounting, and also Keegan, who is a current studying student doing his internship. We were just laughing that he's been doing so much work working full time that he's forgotten what it's like to be a student. So welcome to accounting. What I really love about the accounting program here at ICMS is that it is very, very practically focused. We are all about industry, but I'll leave these guys to tell you the full story of that. So we're going to talk a little bit about the program, then Keegan's going to tell us his story, and then we'll do a bit of a Q&A at the end and answer some of your questions. So take it away, Marcela.
Thank you, Nicole. Welcome, everybody. My name is Marcela Hertnekyova. I am Program Manager for the Bachelor of Business Accounting here at ICMS. Just a little bit about my background. I originally come from Eastern Europe, Slovakia, where I had financial background. I used to work in financial services as financial advisor after I finished my university degree. Then wanted to take a break. Came for 6 months to Australia to take a break from my PhD studies and ended up coming back and decided to do my accounting degree. And from there on, I went on business career with some big corporates like JP Morgan, Australian Aerospace, Woolworths. This was my last role in accounting as management accountant. I didn't used to be typical accountant. I love numbers, but I wasn't set for accounting career. My mom was accountant, and I used to laugh at her. I have no idea how you can do this job. I could never do it. Seeing her at night trying to match the cents and balance the accounts. But here I am. I ended up doing accounting career, and I actually ended up loving it. And I wanted to go into education and share my experience and bring up new accountants and future professionals. Who should study accounting? So I just give you one example. I was not a typical accounting pathway student, but I always had a love for numbers. I was always good with numbers. I was inquisitive. I always wanted to learn what drives business. And this is, I think, if you are a person who wants to understand the business, wants to learn what it takes for the business to succeed, it all comes back to numbers. It all comes back to bottom line. Can I survive as a business? So you need accounting in any business. Even our students, they have one accounting subject as a core because they need to understand. They need to understand, am I making a profit, whether it is in fashion, in hospitality, tourism, wherever they work. So accounting is actually really important in any business, but you can make it your own career. You can make it career as a professional accountant, or you can make a career to be accountant within an organization and help them thrive. So any person who is driven towards that and would love to do career like that can be a great accountant. Doesn't need to be somebody who just likes to sit at a desk. It's much more than that. It's a lot of stakeholder engagement, being partner within the business, being advisor to the business. So accounting can be actually a really creative and interesting career, which just from the name, many people may not think it is a good idea that you are just looking at the books. It's not like that at all in the industry. So what you can do traditional accounting careers such as financial accountant, tax accountant, in an advisory organization, or you can become more corporate-oriented accountant where you work in an accounting team for large corporations. You can become financial manager. Very often, people that with accounting background end up in financial services, which was my background as well. So you may then combine your career from accounting with other avenues. Property is another good example. Accountants very often become leaders in an organization because they understand. They understand what drives the business, what drives the numbers. Because if organization doesn't make a profit, doesn't create value, then they cannot survive. So accounting is part of any business. If you have aspiration, you can become chief financial officer, CEO of your own organization or another organization. Or you can have your own business. It's a beautiful career, whichever way you decide to go, or what drives you. You want to be directly with the clients, or you want to be part of the team. You can find your avenue with this education in accounting as well. So why study accounting at ICMS? Very traditionally, at bachelor level, very often accounting is part of a commerce degree, which is purely focused on accounting finance. What is beautiful about ICMS degree is that it's part of Bachelor of Business. So our students get to experience all learning around how business functions, from marketing to leadership, human resources, all soft skills that they will need to succeed in the industry. So it is not just about accounting, but overall skills within the business, which may our students set up for success in any business, not just in accounting business. The study is really flexible. You can study face-to-face or online. Face-to-face here at this beautiful Manly campus, or online from the convenience of your home, or you can do combined. So we are flexible in terms of accommodating for our students. Very often our students, especially towards the end of their degree, they are working already. I have quite a few students working full-time. One example, he's already in the industry, and they are very successful. I just had 2 graduates. One got employed by PwC, which are great organizations in accounting. So we do have success when it comes to placing our students. You can study degree within full-time study load, or students can accelerate. Typically, you finish degree within 2 years and 2 trimesters, but some students take longer, some students take part-time, on whether they work or not. It is really up to you how you want to, in terms of the duration, how long you want to take with your study. How the course has been designed. The course has been designed focused on graduate capabilities, from professional expertise to innovative problem solving, digital literacy to self-management, so overall skill set that we would like our graduates to have. So every course we design starts with that. What do we want our graduates to achieve or be able to do when they graduate? And in accounting, it is also driven by requirements of professional bodies. So the course is accredited by Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand and CPA Australia. So our students, after graduation, they get to meet entry requirements to professional level with professional bodies. So we do have some requirements we need to fulfill when we are designing accounting degree, but it is for the benefit of the students. Industry focus or career focus is our main goal here at ICMS, and I think the biggest differentiator from other organizations when we compare, or where I work at before, not every accounting student would get the opportunity to have such an amount of hours in the industry. Our students are really lucky because they get to spend 2 full trimesters in the industry within organizations. And they can benefit from our industry partnership as well. We have over 1,000 industry partners. And if you want to be an accountant, doesn't mean that you want to be an accountant with an accounting firm. We can get you connected to be accountant in a hotel, for example. So our students, because of our industry connection, get access to different industries and can experience accounting within the industry as well. Just in terms of the industry, 90%, as you saw on the previous slide, 90% of our students usually find employment upon graduation. So when they graduate, they already have employment. And of course, because industry placement is part of the degree, 100% will have industry experience already anyway. So how is the study structure? Students usually usual study is 4 subjects per trimester, unless they decide to do part-time study. And duration is usually, as I mentioned before, 2 years and 2 trimesters. We try to encourage students to take industry placement in their 2nd year, so they get some experience before they finalize their studies. But some students prefer to leave it towards the end of their studies, and we are flexible with that. So we really accommodate to you when you are ready and you feel that you want to go into industry, once you satisfy the requirements for industry placement. This is just an example of a study in the 1st year. Some subjects that students will take. 8 subjects in trimester 1 and 2, as per this example, are core subjects and some specialization subjects in accounting. In accounting, students usually take financial accounting 1 and 2, management accounting 1 and 2, corporate finance, auditing assurance, and business taxation, which are requirements of professional bodies. Aside from that, we have overall 12 core subjects, so students get to study all the core business knowledge that they need to have to succeed and skills that they need to have to succeed in the industry. So first 2 trimesters are fully core subjects and electives, and further on when students, as they progress with their study, they get to study some electives as well. So in Year 2, students get to choose 2 elective subjects from other degrees, which is great. So if you are interested, let's say, in some subjects in property or in marketing, entrepreneurship, you have an opportunity to take it in Year 2. In this particular example, industry placement is in Year 2, trimester 4 and 5. Usually encourage students to take them together, so they have a longer time with one industry placement, so they can build that relationship with the employer. Very often after our students finish the industry placement, they actually get offer from the employer. And what does it mean for you to have the professional placement? So our industry team is really active in helping students to even present themselves in front of employers. So we get you prepared to apply for placement from all the way from writing resume. We explain to you what to dress, how to behave, how to answer questions during the interview, and all other additional skills you will need to be able to present yourself to the potential employer. Some of the examples of the employers. We don't have any specific focusing on accounting, but we do have accounting practices that we cooperate with. So our students may want to experience accounting in Marriott Hotel and be part of the accounting team, or they want to go into professional accounting practice. So we can accommodate for both. In 3rd year, usually students are focused more on finalizing their specialization subjects, as well as capstone, which is the final project at the end of their studies. Additionally to that, we give opportunity for students to pick 3 elective subjects from any other degree in the area that they would like to explore a bit more. Here are some examples. For example, you may want to get more skills in project management, finance and sponsorship, design concepts, property investment and finance, whatever you are interested in. How to apply? There are various entry opportunities into ICMS. You can apply online at any time, 24 hours a day. Through our application process, you just fill in the application form and it will go directly to our recruitment team. There is possibility to get early entry before students graduate from the HSC. Alternate entry, for example, for professional players if they would like to study with us, or students they have leadership experience. Or another form is UAC, where we would recommend students to put ICMS as a preference. We can offer different intakes. We do have trimester model. Usually we deliver subjects over 11 weeks. In accounting, sometimes in some subjects, because there's a requirement of professional bodies, we will have exam at the end. So we 12 weeks in specialization subjects. And we have 3 trimesters, usually first intake starting in February, which is the strongest one for school leavers like you, for example. And we do have in between intakes, which we offer some of the core subjects. And this is alternative entry for students that don't want to wait until the next term. And if you decide that maybe I want to venture into another degree, our students always have an opportunity to start one degree, and if you feel that you want to study something else, then we can transfer students over because we have an opportunity Bachelor of Business in many streams. We would prefer students to stay in accounting, of course, me personally, and you have opportunity to study electives from all these degrees, which is amazing as well. In terms of what is different is in terms of industry focus in course design and subject design. We have recently redeveloped the subjects, and me coming from the industry, I really try to make them applied and industry relevant. And we try to bring the latest technology into the subjects. For example, recently we redeveloped Management Accounting 2. We are teaching students Power BI, which is really a useful tool in businesses today. In business taxation, we are teaching our students how to actually do tax return, how to do BAS statements. So when they go to the industry, they don't see it for the first time. And we had really good feedback from the industry in terms of what we are teaching our students. So our industry focus reflects in every single subject that we do as well. In every assessment, it's very applied. Additionally, we are not traditional university model where you have big lecture hall and students come in hundreds and then they have tutorial. We do combine lesson together with students within 3-hour session, where you get the opportunity to be with your lecturer, to be with your team members for group projects, and it is more one-on-one interaction, and it is more personal. I think that will sum up the main points of the degree, and if you have any questions, the question will be in the end, so I will leave it to Nicole.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Marcela. Thank you. So yes, we're going to jump into a moment. Keegan's just going to tell us a little bit about his story. But I think what I'm really picking up, which I love, and we were joking before, my dad's an accountant, your mom's an accountant, it's that foundation. And we've been having, looking at our assessment strategies, and even I look after fashion marketing. How do we do assessments where, how do you manage the numbers? Because it is all about making money. So that's really, really important. And I won't spoil Keegan's story, but I think what's been really nice to reflect on as well for me, not being an accountant, is being able to look at the electives across property or looking at it across finance or classic business or management to build strong leaders like Keegan is at the moment. So we'll welcome you to talk to us a little bit about your industry experience and wherever you feel comfortable, Keegan.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Nicole and Marcela. I think I'll just stay right here. I think, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Keegan. I'm 20 years old, and hopefully you can already determine I'm all the way from the motherland of Africa, specifically South Africa. I've been here just over 4.5 years now. I immigrated at the beginning of year 10, and I was actually based in Melbourne before moving to Sydney to really begin the new challenge of life, really. And by that I mean full-time work, bills, extra responsibility, just the usual stuff, and of course university. And I'm currently now a junior financial advisor for a major global consultancy firm called Ecovas Clark Jacobs, and currently working on a startup with my father. Now, do I expect you to do the same? Absolutely yes. No, I'm just joking. Don't worry about that. My job here today is just to purely convince you on why you should choose ICMS. However, I'm not going to do that either. You wouldn't have really been here if you didn't show initial interest, right? So instead, I'm going to share my path and what led me to finance and purely what led me then to ICMS at the end. So just to give you some context, I've been exposed to a great deal of business practice since I can remember. My father's a businessman, my stepdad's a businessman, and so is my grandfather. They vary across different industries such as oil and gas, agricultural, and farming. And throughout my entire young development as a teenager, I was constantly exposed to business practice. I was at the dinner table when Dad would be speaking, be on the phone with clients. That's all you just heard for years and years and years, or just how you handle particular things and how you deal with particular challenges that came both from the business aspect, you know, balancing with your personal stuff, and then what came from the clients. And over the years, as I started progressing in my high school career, I started getting a bit more information on how I could apply the information I got from my high school and what my dad was actually talking about, because my dad would just go on and on and on, and I just didn't really understand until I went further on into my professional development and eventually understood really what he was talking about. And eventually, my father eventually sat me down one day, and we had quite an in-depth conversation really on not only about his industry, but just in general how business should be conducted and the character that a person should have to do business. Because there's a particular character you need to have to actually work with people and the pressure that comes with that. So there was a lot of advice that my father provided to me, and one stuck with me most. He said, Keegan, don't overcomplicate business, just keep it simple. And from that day on, every move I made was to optimize what I do, but most importantly, be practical and logical in every move that I made. And as such, when it came to choose my tertiary education, my mindset hadn't changed. It was really seeking an organization that offers practicality, but more so offered realistic exposure and assistance in the subjects that you could transition into the correct industry of your choice. And in addition to that, I wanted two things. Firstly, from the lecturers, I knew for a fact that I had tangible knowledge on what I could practically apply to the specific industries that I want. You get most lecturers or professors from other universities that have only ever had their head stuck in the books. That's why you'll never ever see a rich economist, because that's all they're doing. It's just reading and researching all the time. And a good portion of these lecturers at ICMS teach and actually run their own businesses, or nowadays, as we know, it's side hustles, right? And what they're saying to you is just not coming from a textbook. It's actually real practical knowledge that they've genuinely experienced themselves, just as my father did. And if you speak to them, it can directly relate it to what they're going through professionally at the moment. And as such, it's not third-hand knowledge from a textbook, it's first-hand knowledge, which is basically priceless. There's a reason why the course structure is the way it is, studying and having the internship. There's a reason why 90% of the students end up with full-time employment in their desired industry pre-graduation, which is pretty amazing. It's because they're honest with you, honest and realistic of the requirements of both yourself and the corporations that they employ you to, or that help you get into industry. Exams are a solitary method of social and professional ability standards. Here at ICMS, we really strive to balance individual assignments between group activities and yourself. We emphasize group activities because out in the real world, if you can't be a player, you're literally left in the dust. You could be the smartest person in the room, but if you can't work with other people, you cannot move forward. The same goes for being an innovative thinker. The peers you work push the boundaries of your creativity and foster an environment where one is giving constructive feedback for everyone's development. Now, most people, in my opinion, can adapt to various roles that are non-financial related, whether it be marketing, public relations, management role, whatever the case may be. Those skills are adaptable and transferable. However, this subject in particular, and people who have done accounting in the past would know what I'm talking about, it's a totally different ballgame. You miss one entry, one wrong number, one loss, entry in general, and those last two numbers don't balance. It's sort of like it's hard gutting, really. So everything you do going forward in your professional and personal development, finance will always follow you, whether that be in your personal or professional life. You get interest rates, inflation, loans, budgeting, financial planning. We're all seeing it now through the half recession sort of thing we're going through now. All of it will follow you your entire life. This subject at ICMS gives you a massive competitive edge compared to everyone else out there. Throughout this subject, the knowledge that comes with this subject is the knowledge that is giving you the requirements to invest wisely. If you want to know how to invest in the stock market, or you want to know how your super is invested, by understanding financial statements and financial analysis just in general, you can determine exactly which investments to make. Now, personally, 4.5 years ago, I came to Australia with $2,000. My portfolio now stands at over $150,000, with me looking to close on my first investment property next year, April. All because I basically just knew how to analyze financials, really. It was just basically where to put my money in at the right time, and I could track that. If you want to be the shark of your industry, of your niche, here's the place to be. If you want to work hard, learn, be a team player, and actually do some proper work, come join me. And you can do this whilst having the best view in town. So in summary, if you want to become a gun in finance, if you want to know how to invest, if you want to know how to become wealthy and know how to plan your wealth progression, there is truly no better place to be. Besides, you get me to help you along the way. Thank you. Any questions, and I'm welcome.
Thank you very, very much. Thank you. I mean, I look after fashion, but you've always convinced me to look after and I think that's really important. You know, it's about life skills, right? We look at accounting and we say, oh, it's just numbers, or you just sit in a room. It's not. It's foundational life skills on how to make money, how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a property investor, how to run a business. So we're just going to do, we've got about 5 minutes just to do a few questions. I might just start it off, and I'll come back there and then pass around the room. I think firstly, thinking about, you say you're about to close on your first property, you've really learned a lot of that sort of foundational skills. What electives did you do, and what are you considering? Because one of the great things about our program is the crossover across all the different business degrees.
Yeah, sure. So as an elective, I would definitely recommend financial modeling. It sounds quite boring, but once you can understand how Excel works in particular, you can really diversify in terms of starting from the numbers that you have currently in front of you, and you can turn it into, from an accounting standpoint, I'd say almost a masterpiece. If you look at all the big corporations that are looking to take you in, whether it be JP Morgan, PwC, Deloitte, all the big players in the industry, that is a fundamental requirement that they need from you. And you can have phenomenal leadership qualities, all that, but that particular aspect of a degree is very sought after at the moment. And if you can have that with the current demand of talent that's out there, you'll do very, very well.
Thank you. And I guess that sort of leads, I was going to ask you, Marcela, you've done a lot of work at modernising the accounting program, and I know you're talking about Power BI and looking at how you can use it. What do you think a modern accountant or someone that has modern accounting skills, what does that look like in the market now?
So that's a great question. It actually changed since when I did accounting originally. There is a much more focus also with professional bodies on technology, a lot of technical skills. So when we discussed with the industry what we should incorporate into the subject, it was really bringing technology, so when I get graduates, they actually understand outside from Excel, because Excel is for us given. So that's why we brought it Power BI, and we are incorporating other technology and try to, for students to understand how technology and innovation can transform accounting industry. Because if a business is efficient and innovative and the accounting function works well, then there are better business partners for the rest of the business. And the second part is what we call in accounting professional skills, which often is called soft skills, but for us professional skills is being able to communicate with the stakeholders, negotiation skills, being able to become that partner within the business. So very often there is a view that accountants are just about numbers. It's not. It's about relationship building and being able to translate numbers into a story. So skills like data analytics recently are becoming really, really more important, and skills around being able to be a partner in a business, which is going to set students for successful career pretty much. And you can see with Keegan, he's very mature for 20 years old. I am actually really impressed.
I'm quite shocked as well. South African though, you know. Yeah. No, and I think that's a really valid point. You know, we talk about these as foundational skills, but as part of the program, there's a lot of leadership training, and we do have those capstone. And how have you found in your internship, sort of, you know, you were saying before, I find the accounting stuff easy now. I'm just like, yeah, okay, tick the box. I know what I have to do. But how have you found your study experience around leadership and learning to be a manager or future CEO?
Yeah, it's been good. You know, I'll give you a bit of context. So, you know, I used to be in the sales game before I actually went predominantly into finance, and sales is a very hard game in terms of doing that. But you know, through that, going into finance, you're able to develop those relationships and work with various stakeholders, because you know, you get clients that are extremely kind, you get clients that are extremely rude, you know, and you get that fine balance. And if you can manage those expectations, both of your clients and yourself, you know, it's really good. But I think more importantly, particularly being an accountant, you know, it's trying to dumb down the numbers for the client in particular, because the client doesn't have an accounting degree, right? So if you can really get that information across to them as simple as possible, but still being as effective as it should, you know, in terms of them making the right decisions going forward for their investing future or their business or whatever the case may be, I think if you can reach that sort of that equilibrium, I think it's a really good thing in managing those relationships between your clients and internal stakeholders.
Oh, thank you. It's a great point. It is about communication and being able to, you know, say, what do the numbers mean to me? I mean, you know, I will be the first to admit. And I think, you know, I love the diversity of industry. We've had one student that's just got into an events program, but is actually an accounting student. You know, you're looking at the property investment side. So in terms of the industry focus, maybe for Marcela, just as we open up to any other questions, how different is our focus on industry to other accounting programs?
So I used to manage accounting program before, actually, and it was at master level. We didn't have internship placement, and so it was really detrimental to students because they didn't get to experience before they graduated, and like real industry. I mean, so what is really important is that students are confident by the time they graduate. I have been in a workplace. I understand. They are less afraid to face interviews because it's stressful for students, especially when you graduate and the world opens to you. They have been through that experience. They have been through interview process with potential employer for internship. So they do have those skills, and our team really works with them. They prepare them for the journey, and if students are not ready, we give them chance to do it next trimester until they feel ready. And I think this personalized taking care of the students is really important, and I don't see you get it in large organizations. We don't have that opportunity to work with students so closely when we work for a large institution, but at ICMS, because we have that access to students, we can really nurture them and prepare them for that industry. And I think that makes the main difference why our students are so successful. And like just in accounting, my students are doing really well. And so, you know, he's one of the examples where they graduate and they have
top-tier companies.
Great companies. It's really hard to get into them. And they don't have a problem. And my last student that just graduated, he actually called me because he had offers from few.
It's amazing.
He picked PwC, but it was KPMG, Deloitte, PwC, and he was, Marcela, which one do I pick?
Yeah.
So then they have this problem then. Then which one of the big players do I want to go?
That's amazing. I remember being at uni and just you dreaming of going to the KPMGs and that of the world. So that's awesome. We have time for, if there's any questions. Yes? Sorry, just wait for the microphone.
Thank you. Thanks. So I'd like to ask both Keegan and Marcela if there were any assessments that you ever did that sort of prepared you for when you went into like your industry training, where perhaps you were working with local businesses or something super practical over, let's say, maybe just parrot fashion learning and writing an exam.
Yeah, thank you for that. It was actually in a marketing elective that was sort of mandatory that we all need to take in your first trimester, and it was just basically, it was very early days into the course, and you just basically had to take a business idea but a new one and just innovate it in particular. And it was a very simple business because you're working with a group, you need to keep it low key and simple, but integrating it with the finance knowledge and background that I had, I was more the CFO of the group, and everybody else was sort of the more creative, everyone had their sort of specialization. So integrating it all together, from the creative part, from the planning stages, from the management course, and from the entrepreneurship sort of people that we had in the group, combined with the finance in general, everyone brings their expertise in some sort of way to the table, but, as me being an accounting student, that worked well in terms of will the company on paper be successful, so it was a really excellent integration to learning that. And the nice thing is that if you're going to apply it in practical abilities to a current company that you're working for, or as I said before, looking back at my dad's company, if you're applying those situations back then, it's much easier to relate and a lot easier to go forward in your course because you've actually seen it happen in real life. So that's essentially what you want, really.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Are there any other questions? No? I think we'll wrap up. If we can just do a round of applause. Thank you very, very much to Keegan and Marcela. Thank you. Thank you.